morning, everybody. Okay. So it's a Monday morning. Good morning, Brent. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. We got, I don't know, we got some interesting stuff always on the burner to do today. For the first time, I've got everything kind of organized over here on this side. You can kind of see it now. We've got all these wonderful bookshelves. I think I've even got my little to-do list over there. And I'm working on actually, I actually do that Wednesday. That's what I'm after Wednesday, is I go shoot houses on Wednesday. I have a bow and arrow for it. You believe me, right? Okay, you know what I didn't do? I didn't turn this light. That's what we're supposed to do. There we go. Hi. So, okay. You totally believe me. Anyway, okay. I've got this thing cross-wired and rigged over here, so it's doing what it's supposed to do, I think, because you should be hearing the music. I'm going to have to set marker points on here as to where the music's supposed to be. Because unfortunately, and this is something I've never quite understood, my gauge on this graph here, if it's past the first green light, boy, you guys are getting blasted. And I'm like, well, that's not the way it's supposed to be. So, well, that's good. I'm glad you're hearing the music there. So today we're going to work on, let's see here. We have a number of projects actually now working. So I'm going to move out of my music directory here. There we go. I actually got a message back from Ron Fortier, and he's saying that they approve of all of the artwork, and we can go on ahead and start working on that as well. So that's a great thing. It allows us to move forward on that piece. I want to finish the piece that I was working on for Fred. I think that's a good one to kind of go with at this point. So we're going to head into my client folder. We're going to look up the client folder stuff, because we were working on page 47. And I want to finish that because it's almost done. I mean, it only needs like 2 or 3 things. Right? There we go. So, I mean, this one is almost there. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go on ahead and switch over. And I think we're going to click there, and we're going to do that. There we go. All right. So, all right. We were doing good work before on this one, and we'll continue to do good work on this. Looking at the piece, this is my pen to black and white. So how you doing this week, Brent? Everything good? Is your kid okay? Kiddo? I need to move my microphone. It is getting in the way there. There we go. I'm going to just darken in this guy's shirt so he's much more dramatic looking. I'm just going through here and just cleaning up this artwork here and making it more dramatic, brighter on the side. course, the good news is that now whenever I'm quiet in the middle of these, and then we're doing that, all day, every day. Tell you, man, got the same problem over here. It's just Clone Wars. And hey, kudos for her. I haven't gotten those Arduinos to work for me anytime I mess with them at all, ever. So props for getting the Arduinos to actually do anything. I always short them out. Of course, I'm an artist, not an engineer. How that goes. Damn it, Jim, I'm an artist, not an engineer. I looked up something recently, and I guess apparently McCoy never really said "damn it, Jim" in the series at all. I think he said it once in the movies. But it's funny how that's become his catchphrase. He's never said "damn it, Jim" in the series. I think "Go to Blazes" was the worst he could get away with in 1967. So there's that. Okay. There we go. At some point in time, it's going to switch songs over here. And I think the next song is probably going to be, like, quieter. So we may not hear it at all. Just tell me if it gets too quiet. I can always turn it back up. And make it work. You know how that goes. So, all right. Kind of going through here, and all I'm doing is just making this much more dramatic. I'm going to put a shadow of his head across the shoulder here, and I just want him to really stand out. Otherwise, you can't see him. He's over there in the corner, and you just don't see him. So the idea here is to make him stand out more, right? So I'm going to darken in the neck. Like this. His hair. Of course, I'm notorious for shorting out all electronics, honestly. I don't know if I just lack control over a soldering iron, or I don't know. My good friend's engineer, and constantly is building things and soldering things, and then he'll say, "Oh, Guy, go solder this." And I'll say, "Okay," and then I'll set fire to it. And, so maybe I have like the equivalent of a black thumb when it comes to electronics. You know what I mean? I solder things, and then they just don't work. I even tried like the basic stuff, right? See, software I can deal with. Software and we get along. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. So, software I can do. I can even troubleshoot basic things still. Which is kind of nice, Those of us that lived in the wild, wild west days of the internet back in the early days, the days where you only had one kind of memory. Nowadays, man, I don't understand the difference between DDR RAM and I think it's Dance Dance Revolution RAM, and there's that kind of stuff. Just saying. I guess that's the kind of RAM that you need to use to play Dance Dance Revolution. All makes sense to me, right? Makes sense to you. You'll all agree. Okay, so this pipe here, I'm just putting a nice shine on it so that it looks like it's bending like this, right? I'm going to kind of going around the corner here. Like that. Yeah, but I figure, Brent, you've done soldering, right? I mean, that's a thing That's a skill set you got. There's got to be something to it. It'd be like something that causes soldering to, I don't know. Like, I don't understand why soldering, how does that not burn your circuits? Because I burn all my circuits, so I don't know what's going on here. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong. So there's a touch to it. Every day we talk about something interesting, don't we? Today it's soldering. There's always something going on. All right. This guy here, we're going to go on ahead and just make sure he's darkened out so you can see the shape of what's going on here. And we'll come around the corner here. And again, I'm leaving, right? It requires a special touch. I don't know. I have a lot of LEDs that say that I didn't do it right. Because, of course, that's my entire mission here, right? I mean, all I'm really trying to do is make blinking LEDs. I mean, you've seen my office. It's full of lights that are all multicolored. All I'm really after is blinking lights. It's what Trekkies do, is blinking lights. So, it's kind of a thing. I think it's one of the... My dad swears, or my dad doesn't swear. My dad had said that one of the things I used to say, one of the first things I used to say was, "That's a light." My grandfather used to say that all the time, too. So, I'm assuming I have always had a fondness for lights. Nothing has changed, really. Just grown older and now have money of which to purchase lights whenever I want to put lights in my office, I guess. Really the only difference. Okay, there we go. So all I'm doing here is I'm just putting in shadow around here so that he just disappears in the shadow. This gives him definition. When you're dealing with only two colors, and I'm dealing with only two colors here, it's really hard to give definition to the picture. You want to make sure that you choose wisely where you're putting your dark areas. And then the characters will stand out at that point. I feel like this should be... It's going off the picture here. That's just to give it some definition so that it doesn't look like I cut it wrong. I mean, really all we're doing there is just making it so it doesn't look like I made a mistake of some sort or another. It's funny how many times you just do something so that people can go, "Hey, you messed that up." You messed it up. It's a choice. Right? When I did this one originally, I didn't actually extend the table line. So we're going to just extend the table line like this. So there we go. With that, looks good. Okay. Get the mattress through. Since I gave the highlight up here, I can safely go in here and at least do this part of the mattress in black. A lot of this is like a game. You kind of have to go, okay, wait. How close can I get to this line before I cross it? And then make this illegible, this entire area hard to read. So I'll go through here, and I'll go through that, like that. Same thing down here. There we go. Just like that. make that line work like this, make that line work like that. Then I'll go down here, and I'm just going to straighten this up. All right. There we go, just like that. All right. Now, I feel like it's only the two girls in the back now that need to be worked on, because they're not showing up. It's hard to see either one of them. So I feel like these two are the ones we're going to work on next. I'm going to work on the cat girl back here. Now, I want to get in tight here, because we got to kind of get in here into her mouth. And that's going to be difficult. And this will help us there see that. That mouth is hard to see. It's hard to see that she's in pain too. You know what I mean? You can see it when we're really up close like this. But it's really difficult to see from far away. You know, she should have a little bit of fur. And she's obviously some kind of fur creature. And since she's a cat, she's probably got her hackles up a little. This is not comfortable for her. Whatever it is that this sigh is doing to her, it's not pleasant or fun. Alright, so we're just going to rough up the edge of the mouth here. There. Excellent. Right? And I'm looking at this neck, and I feel like that neck is either really long or that shirt is really low. I can't figure out which one's which. But either way, it needs one line to repair it right through here. It just needs this. Right there. And that'll fix that problem. Alright, we'll do that. Go in there. And oddly, that fixes it. I love when one line fixes the problem. It makes my life so much easier. Okay. So I now know that I've got to define through this area and up on this part right up here. And I actually probably should connect that better. Either do this, which will give it a little bit of a fold. There we go. Now the question really is, should I go and darken her up? I feel like she's the highlight of this particular piece, and he's not that dark. I don't have that much shading on him. So I think what I want to do, a little bit of shading on this underside here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, and then we're just going to give her a very tight, or a very light shading right through here. We don't want to shade her too much, it'll break up the picture, and you won't be able to see her. Right? Just a little bit of there, like this. There we go. And I'm still giving the highlight, like a bounce light, off of the bottom here, so that it doesn't look entirely like this has failed to. And there's another thing that's going on here, which is that I feel like this is connected and it shouldn't be. There we go. Because her leg should be coming up here like this, and then just going across like that. And then give shadow through here. There we go, like that. And then under here, between her legs, that makes sense here. We have shadow here, like this. Kind of going up like that. And then we have kind of going like this here, right? Into her boots. And this just gives us some definition of what's going on. Helps define the character back there. And just enough, those aren't boots, those are socks. So, just enough for her to be identifiable. Now, it looks like she's wearing 2 pairs of socks, which I think might be where I was headed originally. Sometimes my wife would wear 2 pairs of socks. It's kind of interesting. I think that's sort of a thing. So she's got these little white socks on, but she's got a different pair of socks up here, right? And the fact that they overlap makes me think these aren't capris. It's been a long time since I worked on this piece, so I can't remember exactly what I was after originally. All the time, I can't always do that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this as if this is 2 pairs of socks. Right? I know. I barely wear 1 pair of socks myself. So weird. Okay. Then we're going to put little, like, skull and crossbones on it. Which turns out to be my signature. Alright. There we go. Now she has little skull and crossbones socks she's wearing back there. He's strapped down. She's being mind erased or zorched or mind something. Give some definition to her chest. Otherwise, we're going to just lose this. Lose that area there. Okay. Shoulder. I'm going to pull the fabric in here like this. And I'll give some weight to her arm, because her arm is laying across her chest. So we want to give some weight to this. Definition to her abs. Right there. now when we look at her, she's got some weight, but she's not as dark as these other guys are. The dark characters in the background are dark. Dark characters are dark. Okay. All right. This lady. Let me get a lot of definition on her. I think I feel like her outfit is dramatically black or whatever. Maybe just shines white. So, yeah. All right, so we're putting in here this. Should probably check to make sure that we're broadcasting properly. Wonder if that changed anything. Yeah, it's actually sort of Mystique was where I was coming from on this. I felt like Mystique was sort of the prototype of this. I mean, she's a psi and she's working on psionically doing things, but yeah, I kind of get the Mystique feel out of her too. But, you know, we've got to also not have her be naked because I think that music's still playing. Good. Did it just change? Because, like, I realized that Restream wasn't by default set for my line in, but it just said default. I don't know whether that's my line in or not. I'm like, I don't know where that is. So. Did we lose it a minute or two ago? What's the story? So I guess everything's still working well. Either way, you can all hear me. So music is just a side thing. It's just that I think it'd be kind of cool to have music. And I have the ability to mess with enough pieces and parts here to be able to have it play music. I think it's funny that I'm cycling. You should see this rig. Oh, good. This rig here is amazing. I've got so I have this Geek Tank processor that I've been using, or that we've been using for Geek Tank. We're not going to use it anymore. So it goes back to me because it was mine to begin with. And so I thought, well, I'm doing this broadcast every day. That's all right. It's okay. I'm going to switch back to my main camera real quick. So I put this Geek Tank had this original, a mixer. And we were using it for our shows. But now when we get back to our shows, because we're going to get back to our shows, if we ever get back to live shows again, we're going to have a more portable system. So we want a system that's more portable than this. So this guy just became homeless, so to speak. Well, it was my mixer before, long before Geek Tank. And so I plugged it in over here, but you can see it's got all these wires going everywhere. It's beautiful. But I get a better, richer sound out of the microphone. So I'm much happier with the microphone. And then I thought, well, you know, it'd be really cool. So I plugged my speakers into the other audio input here. So I've got the ability now to take this and control the music. You know, I can raise the music, I can lower the music, and, you know, I can control my microphone over here. And it's kind of fun. I got like a little audio studio right here. Anyway, it's all good, but we're probably going to have to spend a couple of days we're probably going to have to spend a day or two figuring out how all of this works. I also ordered more smart lights for these two bulbs right here. They'll be here tomorrow. So we'll get a couple of smart lights so I can control these lights all by the same command or command set. I need another light for this corner right over here behind my Starship collection. And then I need a light that can be controlled over my Mayline desk. So I'm going to be doing that light, these two lights, and that light will be the ones that are coming up on smart lights. And the smart lights are great because that allows me to control all of them through my Alexa up there, which I don't know if you guys have seen me talk about this, but I mean, it's like I've got the ability to change all the light rigs through here. There's all my Starships. All right, by saying, computer, change lights to blue. Yes. Right, and I can change all the lights in here to blue, which is kind of cool. So I'm working on, the only problem is, of course, these two lights are stuck being whatever color they are. So we're still working on that. Okay, computer, secure from general quarters. I just love that thing. Computer, red alert. We are way too easily entertained, Brent. We're just way too easily entertained. Okay, computer, secure from general quarters. That way we can have the white light. Otherwise, it's... As much fun as it is to have all those lights going in red, it's really hard to draw with red lights. So, yes, it's still, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, there's just nothing wrong with it. Okay, let's get back to work. That was our little interlude about lights. It can be funny for all we want. That's fine. Funny is good. So I'm wondering why Restream does not by default leave it on the same position it was at last time. Because you said it did, in fact, change. The audio changed, which makes me think that that somewhere along the line, it wasn't exactly lined up with my line in, which does kind of make me go, well, but it was on line in Friday, so why is it not on line in now? All these things are things to think about because I give reports to Restream about how their system is working because I'm one of their high-paying clients now, because this is obviously something I'm going to be doing for a long time, and I'm enjoying this quite a bit. So I feel like this should be, I'm going to change the angle of this here because it should be drooping down. And I'm getting the impression that this lady is into showing her cleavage. David's kind of person. Just saying. Takes all people. Okay. Now what we're doing here is just defining this a little bit so that it doesn't disappear. As I said, the trick with two color is making it so that you can define the area. Yeah, I figured you'd like that. You can define the area without losing the without losing the lines. Black and white is extremely risky, right? She likes to leave nothing to the imagination. Probably because she can read your mind and she knows what you're thinking. So I would figure that that'd be a thing. I wonder if that was my thought whenever I originally drew this. I think it's funny that I don't remember what I was thinking whenever I drew this. I actually had an experience the other day going through old drawings and things that I had done. I found drawings that I didn't remember drawing. I just didn't remember doing any of it. I've never had that really before. Now, a lot of it might be that I just haven't gone until recently back through all of my old drawings. But it was still very disconcerting. I saw this piece and I have no memory of drawing the piece. It's my style. It's clearly a piece I drew. I recognize my art style. I even can recognize the tools that I used to draw it. Like I was using my old Prismacolors, so I can tell what time in my life it was. But it was very strange. I've never done that before. It's a really unique experience and somewhat alarming. Never really had that before. This girl's really in shape, so I'm going to give some definition to her thigh here. Some definition to the outside of the thigh as well, because she's the bad guy, so we want her to be darker than the good guys on this particular picture. And get a little bit of light through here. Put it like this. And I've had the experience that I'm having with this piece where I don't remember what I was thinking when I drew the piece. Like, what was the design of the characters in my head. I'm very big about agency. So I'm assuming that this lady here is very much into the idea of showing all of her body. And that's okay. It's fine as long as she makes that choice. So, like I said, I think probably, thinking back on it, it's probably because she can read your mind anyway. So, what's the point? I also made her gaunt, I noticed. Up here with her face, she's very gaunt. Makes her even more evil looking. You don't believe me? We just talk about what's his name from Star Wars? Admiral. Come on. I'm going to think of it here in a second. Admiral. What was his name? Tarkov. Tarkin? Admiral Tarkin. Very gaunt. The guy was very gaunt. General Tarkin. That's why I can't think of it, is because I had his rank wrong. Apparently there are admirals and generals in the Empire. So there's that. Grand Moff. That's who it was. Grand Moff Tarkin. Thank you. But, he was very gaunt. The actor who played him was extraordinarily gaunt, and it made for a great effect on that one. So, right? He's a Grand Moff. There's nothing worse than being a Grand Moff, right? Yes, Peter Cushing was an amazing actor, and kind of sad he passed away. Although, gotta admit, even though the technology hasn't quite there yet, and I assume that they'll go back and mess with Rogue One at some point in time. His reprisal of the role in Rogue One was interesting. I thought it was cool. I mean, because I know we're going to be, getting into that era soon. I saw a deep fake a couple of days ago where somebody had put Leonard Nimoy's face over Zachary Quinto in the original Star Trek movie, 2009, the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie. And it was actually unnerving to hear Zachary Quinto's voice because it didn't match, right? The picture was so good. They were getting so close that it really did look enough like Leonard Nimoy that I was disconcerted by hearing Zachary Quinto's voice out of it. And it was cool. So there's that. There we go. Much better. Now she looks a lot more dramatic. One light's blinky. That's what we'll figure it out. All right. I'll put some shadow back here. Really darken this out. Ooh, I don't think I want to do that. There we go. Just that. Just that. Yeah. I hate to have brain issues on Star Wars with you online here. However, Star Wars is not my key fandom. And so there is actually some recall points here. I've got to think before I say things because I got to crunch through the numbers. We can talk Star Trek all day long and I don't have to think about it. When it comes to Star Wars, I got to kind of crunch a little bit. I do love Star Wars, though. I do think that Rogue One, though, is the best one of the lot at this moment. That's my current feeling, and I know that's probably going to make you all unfriend me on Facebook, and I get that. Especially you, David. I'm just teasing. All right. Putting in the lines here. All I'm doing is just making this background much darker. Don't want it to be obvious, or I want it to highlight this character. And that part of this, yeah, Director Krennic was pretty cool. Part of this, and Brent might actually know who that is. Definitely, Star Wars is definitely Brent's wheelhouse. More than mine. Not to say I hate it, of course. That's the other thing. You should be able to, have a fandom and then have things you just absolutely love. And I enjoy Star Wars so much. I just enjoy, and I think part of the reason that I'm kind of glad to not be a fan is it's not stressful for me. You know what I mean? I liked I liked the original trilogy, and I liked the second trilogy, and I even liked the third trilogy because it wasn't my fandom. So, yeah, I agree. Since it's not my direct fandom, I don't have to stress out about whether they've messed up the story or messed up the universe or, whatever. whatever, with Star Trek, I get all uptight when they mess up the universe or screw around with the universe. I don't have to worry about that with Star Wars. I just enjoy it. I'm just along for the ride. You tell me what the story's about, and I'm good. I'll just hang. It's all fine. So, I think there's a certain amount of enjoyment to just being along for the ride. Same thing with the MCU. I'm just enjoying it, I'm just having a ball. And some of them are kind of like, well, gotta admit, Thor 2 was a little, I don't know, slow. But, I think it's funny that the MCU has sort of become kind of the geeky version of a shoot 'em up for us. There we go. Ben Mendelsohn. Ben Mendelsohn was the one who played Krennic. That makes sense. There we go. And I'm kind of going through here, and all I'm doing is just darkening this out. I know I want this to be dark. I want this to be dramatic behind her. So all these shelves, which probably had something at one point in time on them, now are just all dark. Yeah, it seems like I remember seeing him in Captain Marvel. You're right. This entire area is just black. Pork. He makes a good Mr. Smith. Yeah, you don't get stressed out about anything. That's cool. Or you get stressed out about everything. What are you trying to say there, David? I'm missing your point. Not like that's a bad thing, I guess. There we go. All we're doing here is just bringing that in, right? Yeah, well, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not getting stressed out. I think that's a great thing. Wish a lot of us would do that more. Wish the Trekkies would calm down a little too. Because boy, oh boy, they get themselves up and worked up a lot, don't they? I think the biggest thing I wish people would do is stop making absolutes, because these fanboys will get on there. They'll start saying things like, Picard was absolutely the worst one. And they start looking for proof that Picard was horrible and bad. Like proof that it had horrible ratings so that they can crow about how awesome they are if they figured out that Picard was bad and telling all of us that Picard was bad. And it's like, you don't need to tell us. You can hate it. That's fine. Nobody needs to. Boy, they got to crow about it. And then they got to go and say, see, the ratings were terrible. As if that was proof that... And I think that the idea, of course, is that they want to get the writers fired so that the writers will write better things. I don't know. But it still aggravates me. It aggravates me right too. I get more stressed out about that than I do about anything that ever happens in Star Trek. I enjoyed the heck out of all of it. I enjoyed Picard. I enjoyed what was going on. It was a lot of fun. I have my Picard era uniform now, and I'm sure the story could use adjustments. It's been passed from person to person. We had Lucas in charge, and people didn't like the things he did, and I don't know, that's okay. I'm okay with that. It's not a problem. And you're not alone. Troy is also a major Star Wars guy, and he gets really uptight about the first ones, 1, 2, and 3, episode 1, 2, and 3. That's the one that makes him the most stressed out. He'll go on for hours about episode 1. And I'm like, okay, because we really don't know I don't have a dog in the race, And so it's like, well, okay. And I respect it. I respect that there are folks who don't like it, and I respect that. And I have to admit, the second one, episode 8, that was out in this last batch was slow. And I wasn't sure how I felt about the second one, in that instance. But that's okay. It's not the first slow anything we've ever had and stuff, so I'm good with it. All right. Okay, so I'm looking at the picture and I'm just looking it over. I'm kind of getting an idea of... I'm not even sure what his opinions are on the Ewok movies. So I'd have to ask him, because you're right, get him riled up. But I know that episode 1, 2, 3, getting him on episode 1, 2, and 3 is like getting Chelsea on EA games. Although he's not as loud as Chelsea would be. I mean, Chelsea kind of explodes, but he's got that same venom. So his feeling on episodes 1, 2, and 3 are dramatic and entertainingly dramatic. For those of you just tuning in, we're talking about the Star Wars flicks. Okay, so I feel like looking at this over here, I feel like this device that's running through here is on the floor, and somehow this tray ended up on top of it or behind it. But either way, I feel like that makes it look weird. So I'm going to go through here. We're just going to fix this tray so that it's on top of this device, not vice versa. So we're just going to fix the MC Escher effect over here. No MC Escher. There we go. Yeah, next time we have Geek Tank on Thursday, bring that up in the in the motor pool. That'd be funny. That'd be pretty funny. I'll ask him what. I don't know what our show theory or what we're doing on our show this week, but I would be entertained highly by him getting riled up about the Ewok show. Of course, you know how it works with Troy. We're going to totally be expecting some awesome response. He's going to get all mad, and he'll be like, oh yeah, those are fine, or something like that. And we'll be like, oh, it was so anticlimactic. All I really wanted was, sparks or fireworks or something. And he'll be like, oh, I don't have any problem with it, or something. It'd be so funny. Of course, I got to admit, that'd be funny too. I mean, so there is that. Boy. Okay, up here, there's this huge pipe behind them. I guess this is like, my feeling is that whatever is going on here, this is happening underground or something. I don't know. maybe in some kind of management thing, but they've got these huge pieces of equipment over here. So I'm just randomly darkening pieces over here to kind of just make this stand out a little too. Alright. I'm going to do this. Get in here tight. Get in here really tight. There we go. There we go. I'm just gonna highlight this here so it's got some dark shadows so that it looks ominous and scary. Everything in here should be ominous and scary. That's what we're after here. Alright, this device over here does whatever this device does. It does have an IV, that's all we know. Maybe it's sucking the blood from him. Yeah, because that's what IVs do. Totally. The thing we know, at least in my world, this is the way we're doing this. David, you can verify that. IVs suck blood. That sucks. There we go. I'm not sure what this thing does, actually. I didn't think it through that much. I just drew a whole bunch of random equipment. Which is fine. But I'll make it dark and ominous anyway. There we go. There we go. All this is becoming dark and ominous over here. Excellent. There. That is starting to look like I think we're about done. Feel like we've got a lot of stuff going on here. Got a lot of things that make us feel like this is a dark and ominous situation. Whatever's going on in here, it's not that crowded. I don't feel like it's that chattery. Your eyes are drawn to these two characters here. All right, so we'll sign it and let it go. All right. You mean because it's moving? Oh, it looks like it's floating. Yeah, I initially I felt like it was, he's shaking his hand. He's fighting, so it's in a wiggle motion where it's in the middle of being shook. You talking about the machine itself up here or the line? Which one are you talking about? Oh yeah, let's go ahead and try to inhale coffee, and that won't go over well. So the line itself looks like it's floating, huh? It's gonna kind of have a divot in it. Let's fix that. A little harder to do because we've got his hand here and stuff. But if we pull the line completely, and what I can do is put him on a different layer. Right. You're talking about that bump. So if we were to take the line and just go straight like that, you'd be happier with it. Although I think I want to actually do more like. I actually think I might want to go here and actually clear this line all the way so we can make it work all the way down. So we'll come up here. More like that. Drop all the way down like that. There we go. Alrighty. I can do that for you. Good. Thank you. Thank you for that. And then I'll just clean this up on the other side. Just go back in here with a pen. Clean that up like that. Good catch, David. Hold on. Now that I fixed it, I'm totally seeing what you're seeing, and like I'm glad you did that, because I was sitting there looking at it and I was like, I wouldn't have noticed that it was a problem until later, and I probably would have noticed it after it was too late, like after it was published or whatever, and I'd look through it and I'd be like, oh, man, you know what I mean? So glad you caught it now, because I wouldn't have caught it until much, much later. So let's go ahead. Heavy line's important, so I'm going to go ahead and clear around the line going in. Everywhere but on his arm, obviously. We want to be able to see that, so there we go. Okay, let's flatten this down. And save. Alrighty. That's a pretty dramatic picture. There we go. I think that's the last hour we're going to dedicate to this guy. Here's a little bit more. So nice to. There we go. All we're doing here is just trimming everything down so that it all trims properly. There we go. Had a little bit of a black line over on this side, so didn't want to have that go in. The weather keeps changing, and some of us are not spring chickens anymore. Oof. I can't get my fingers are getting stiffer and stiffer, and I get up in the morning and I'm having to do a lot of maneuvering to get my fingers to get moving again. All right. Okay, So this piece we will call done. Here, I think this one's good. I see one spot. I always do this last little check, but this guy should be black. Right here. You can really see her hand. You want to be able to see this hand. Doing whatever psycho babbly thing she's doing. You want to be able to clearly see she's doing it. This is definitely some kind of psychic attack that she is doing on this poor cat girl. So I want this to be very clear. Right through here. There we go. There. Excellent. Just kind of cleaning this up. Make this a little bit more. There we go. Much better. Now you can really see that hand, and it sticks out that she's waving her hand over, or starting to wave her hand over the cat girl's head. So that's better. It's a whole lot better. I really need to abandon this piece. So this is. There are times when some artist, and I can't remember who it was, but there was an artist once that specifically said, you don't actually finish art, you abandon it. And I mean, it was one of the Renaissance painters, Michelangelo, Raphael, a Ninja Turtle. But it's a true statement. I routinely have to just abandon it. Otherwise, I'll be doing what I'm doing here, which is, ooh, this one thing needs to be fixed. Oh, this one thing needs to be fixed. Oh my goodness, this one thing needs to be fixed. So I end up constantly sort of evolving this, need to fix things, and it's aggravating. So I'm going to abandon this piece. It is now abandoned. There we go. We have abandoned it. It has been abandoned. All right. So moving right along, let's find ourselves another piece to work on. I feel like page 69 is an easy one. So we're going to do this guy. But since we have that, we have the old game text on here. So we're going to do that. Okay. Let's switch on the screen. All right. What we got here is this is supposed to be in silhouette, and it's a cat person doing parkour up the walls. So one of the things we can start doing here is I know I'm going to have a dumpster right here. And this dumpster will not be on fire. So many jokes, so little time. empty dumpster, so I'm assuming that a lot of this is, you know, like there were scratches on it like this, and it was just rough. We'll make it, give it a little bit more perspective through here. There you go. And it's going to have those little, like, claw things that make it grabbable by the arms of the trash truck, right? We'll head over like this. Like that. And all I'm doing here is just damaging it up real good. It's seen better days. Right? I got a dumpster there that just has seen better days. It's done a better job in life. It's had a better life. Dented in one here right there. Somebody ran into it with a car. Wham! Okay. Add an old box like this. Most of this is post-apocalyptic in design. So, get some trash in here like this. And naturally, we need an old shoe. There we go. Right through here. This. There we go. This. Some things on the ground. There we go. Now we have the beginnings of what feels like a sort of post-apocalyptic. Better guy, you can do better than that. Sort of spot. There we go. Trash bags in here. It's still probably in here. Trash probably hasn't actually been a service for a long time. So probably no trash service, and this trash is probably still hanging out from the days when there was trash service. Now there's just isn't anymore. So we'll put these guys in here. Mostly just junk. Maybe it's a dragon egg or two. Who knows? All kinds of things can happen here. There we go. Lids in the dumpsters there. Just kind of bowing in. There we go. Kind of clearing this all up in here, and kind of doing that, and there we go. Good. The dumpster looks roughed up, and all's good. This would be a very weird collection, all right. I feel like that door won't cover enough, so I want to... There we go. Certainly a weird collection in this point, huh? Yes, kind of coloring it like that. There. Right. So, do you want to bring the line tool because I want this to be straight? These are this is a fence, clearly. This area is fenced off from intruders. Here, put a connector on a chain link fence, so kind of a roundish connector up here with a little point on top. There we go, just like that. And all in here, get all up in here. Put a little time into this too. Make it look good. There. What we've got here is a failure to communicate. No, so we've got this going on. The chain link fence is not one of those things where you make a lot of like detail in it, but I am going to spend some time kind of making the razor wire. Because we really want this to look like a, yeah, I don't want to get involved in that. That doesn't seem like a thing I want to get with. Caught up in razor wire. Ugh. Excellent. I'm going to do all I'm doing here is just want the feel that this is a fence. I'm not. Chain link fence generally actually is a wire that comes down like this, turns and then goes this way and then turns, and goes this way and then turns and then this way and then turns. Then you have another wire that goes like this and then does the same thing in reverse. Yeah. Then this guy's looped to the next group over here. So that's how you make chain link fence work. And to be frank, this would take me forever to make this work. So I don't want to go into detail on that. So I just know that it's roughly diagonal. This looks good enough, and it will express the point. Right. So this guy right here. There we go. He's thinking about. He's got a little backpack on. You know what he needs? He needs a backpack. put it in his backpack. He's trying to get somewhere, right? He's trying to do something. He's a courier. That's what he does. He's a courier. Got a little courier backpack. There we go. Just like this. There, give him a little jacket too. Our courier here. Let's prepare to jump up this wall. Right here. And he's going to do it via parkour. Courier pack. Oh man, that. Do you want to talk about a mispronunciation that works? I just said courier cat, which for a cat person makes some sense. My 10-year-old would be laughing his ass off right now. He heard that. I thought that would be the most hysterical thing he's heard all day. Oh no, you're doing the Junji Ito thing? Oh boy. Good luck on that one, David. Junji Ito is creepy. Creepy AF. Just saying. Which I think is why Brian likes it. It makes sense. Everybody has their own thing. I'm not really into that kind of creepy, so it's all good. You can have them. Oh. Brian's doing it, but you're not doing it? Gotcha. Urate. Right? I mean, like, Junji Ito's creepy, right? I mean, you agree with me on this one, right? Alright, just putting in the walls here. So, I think Brent, I think you might be familiar with With Brian, he goes as Can Sim. So I presume you know some degree to whom we are talking about. Oh, let's see. Some. Okay, yeah, we're talking about a fellow artist friend of ours who is notoriously a fan of Junji Ito. But apparently June is the month where you do a daily drawing. And my month usually is March, because we do March of Robots. And being a robots dude, oh man, I wish I could help you. I've got both of those sitting right over here behind me. Well, not your birth certificate. I have your birth certificate sitting right behind me. And that would be a little creepy. I also have David's birth certificate. He just doesn't know it yet. Yeah, I have. This is another one of those. Wish you could help me. Wish I could help you. I have the reader over here. I have all the readers for my camera equipment. I'd loan those to you in a heartbeat. So, anyway, you can do you do what you need to do, my friend. Do not make me interrupt you on that. Yeah, well, somebody has to have your birth certificate, David. You know, it's a thing. As long as you have an auxiliary, you're good. All right. The original thought process on this was that this was going to be in silhouette. So I'm going to go through here. Make sure everything's connected. And fill it in black. There we go. Make sure it's sealed at the top. Guess what? It's not. You know what happened when I did that? It filled the whole thing black. I see a white thing and I wanna paint it black. Both of these are seriously dark. I'm noticing a lot of dark in this. There we go. Make sure that this razor wire goes all over the edge here. And then we're going to take this part and make this black as well. Because he's standing in the shadow. That's the important part here. This is all lit up because it's in the street light. I'm going to start singing Memory here soon. Cats is such a weird play. So my wife and I are both theater fans. all seen these plays, both she and I. We've seen a whole bunch of plays. But it's funny that, even we're kind of like, Cats is a little weird, isn't it? It is, right? It's a little strange. Everybody here agrees that Cats is a little strange. We don't understand what Andrew Lloyd Webber was after whenever he made Cats, so it's all good. And it is even weirder that it has a popularity. I find that even stranger. I'm not sure what to think about that one. So there's Cats. We've talked about Cats now. Which makes sense because we got a cat kind of jumping up here and doing a thing. There we go. And I'm probably safe just doing this. And then I'll just go back in and do the alternate color. This is where it's actually useful that it doesn't fill in the entire thing, because now I can just go in here and we're going to do the reverse of what we did before. We're just going to go through here and put highlights in where his backpack is. Just the outside edge. Here we go. And we're just doing the reverse here now. From the top of the courier thing here, you can see that. You can see this knee. Knee. What? Had a knee. For some reason, I'm singing Cats, and that's not a good thing. Just saying. For those of you who are worried, it's not good to sing Cats. Just saying. Big truck. Here. There we go. And all I'm doing here is just filling in all this area here, which is just sitting at being completely black. Here. If we're not careful, I'm going to lose this entire thing, like the foot. So I'm going to just put it very back here, very flat like this, so I don't lose this. Otherwise, you're just going to lose the whole thing to this shadow right through here. Right. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Some of this is okay. You can. It doesn't matter if you can't see it, because you'll understand it just fine. And it's all about how well does this thing read, right? Well, I get the impression that this guy is hiding in the shadows and he's trying not to be seen. So white shoes might be kind of cool, but then it would be, he'd be able to be seen. So I'm assuming his shoes will be black. Because you're right, white shoes would work, but in this instance, we're just taking a look at where that is straight up. Yeah, it wouldn't. He's a stealth courier. As far as couriers go, he's very stealthy. So he heads to right here, this area right up here. Put some lines to indicate that he made it here. Look at his head here. I had him lower, but I feel like he'd be like this. More likely he'd be like this. Backpack. Alright. That's his hand right here. I'm sure we can see he is indeed wearing a jacket. That's one foot. The other foot, I think, is just going to be off to the side here. I'll get a little closer because I feel like we've got, I want him to be looking upward. This is where you definitely can see he's a cat. There we go. Give him a good cat silhouette. Definitely can tell this guy's a cat. Let's see this here. Fingers splayed like this. Just flinging himself from one building to the next. Maybe he doesn't need that one. Just bend, nothing much of a bend. Too much of a bend. Alright. Excellent. Just like this. There's his other arm over here. It's just holding on like this. This is a courier package up here. actually make his backpack kind of fling out a little like that. Make his coat come up like this. There we go. We've got one leg that we know is attached right here. I'm assuming the other leg is up, like this. We attach that like that. Just going in here. Face, so he's no silhouette. And I did the manual coloring. I notice here I didn't hit the fill. It gives me a little bit more, just kind of rough shadiness. Now we're going to go through here. This. On this flip side here, I'm going to take and make sure I use white. This. Instead of just erasing. Coming along the back here. Along the top is muscle loop and the top of his little jacket. There. Alright. This guy here. Put the backpack on here. You can see the light of the backpack. So this and down the backpack. Alright, so kind of going along here. This, and kind of roughing it up like that. And the jacket. Jacket here as well. There we go. Alright. Really detailed area here. Up for his leg. Down his leg. Through this area. And now it looks like he's bouncing off that wall. Boing! I'm almost out of coffee. It's a very sad thing to be almost out of coffee. This, oops, is sort of his travel bag There we go. Okay, next little picture of this guy. He's up here and he's flipping backwards. And springing around to head up the wall again. So, we have him like this. The body is twisted. So, twisting the body. around. Because he's a cat, naturally. So rotating his body along the lines here is not an unheard of thing. Like that. This across like this. Aw, man. There we go. There we go. Just like that. There we go. We'll move this up like this and around here like so. There we go. Just like this. So. Now he's going to do the other thing. He's flinging himself this way. So there. Put the other leg down here. Indicate some spot where he has actually attempted to put his foot. And then I'll have to go through here and erase like I always do. Okay. Now we'll go put highlights in. I want to clean up this foot. I feel like this foot is weird. There. Okay. Now we'll put the highlights in. I'll define this. You know what we're missing? This is backpack. Hard to tell what's going on without his backpack. Doesn't matter. This part needs to be fixed too. So we'll put his little backpack on right here. And we're coming up on here and on the top and across this ear. The music died, huh? That's good timing, I guess. Yeah, I guess the music just kind of... I don't have quite 2 hours worth of music. Sadness. Let me restart. I'll restart the music. Kind of like this heavy crusade music anyway. The industrial super music. And like dealing with Russians or something in the old Soviet Russia. In Soviet Russia, music plays you. Anyway. This is funnier because I've got a couple of buddies that are Russian. Especially my dear friend Jenny. She actually fled Soviet Russia. So she likes the Soviet Russia jokes. Or I think she does. She probably hates them. She's just humoring me. But that's, hey, also a thing. Humoring me is also a thing. I'm clever. I actually kind of have a lot of experience with Soviet Russia because of that. I should have some techno. All right. I had a lot of things to think about with the docking of the and you're talking about DM2, which is the demonstration. Let's see if this We're not done yet, but I think I am done drawing for the moment. So I'll switch my camera back on. Okay, because we are about done for the day, and we are about 5 minutes out, and my hands are starting to hurt. I love so I don't know if you were with us for. Yeah, I know. I like the fact that the crew named it Endeavor. Yeah, it's classic SpaceX to say it's capsule number 47B and not give it any kind of personality. But the truth of the matter is we're all going to remember names like Endeavor far longer. So I kind of like the fact that they named it Endeavor. I even think it's funnier that after a couple of passes, Hawthorne was like, okay, Endeavor. They just kind of took it. Oh, man, that's a bummer, David. It really is kind of a bummer. Kind of hoping that you would have seen it too. But that's okay. So, yeah, we got sort of a thing going with that, though. But I'm looking forward to, now that they're on station and on orbit, I'm curious to see what jobs they're going to do and things like that. But, yeah, as far as, I was intrigued by the differences between how SpaceX does things and how NASA does things. So NASA always has a certain timeline that they're working on all the time. And SpaceX had a very different timeline. I think it's interesting that one of the things that SpaceX has done is gotten rid of all of those holds, which was a very unique thing. If the launch was at 2 in the afternoon, the space shuttle would start T-minus 4 hours at 6 in the morning. And it was like, well, you're not 4 hours from launch. That'd be 11. You're starting at 6. And it's because there was always these holds where, they could check to make sure everything was okay. And I think it's interesting that SpaceX has gone the other direction, which is instead of saying at 10 minutes until launch, we will stop the camera or stop the countdown and check everything. and see if everything's good. And that could take any time. That could take a half an hour, or it could take an hour. And SpaceX's solution to that was to just build it in at the 1 hour mark instead. So there was some great stuff. Yes, the other thing is that I love the fact that now that SpaceX has transit and transport to the station, now NASA is free to concentrate on Artemis, and that's where NASA ought to be anyway. I think NASA should be moving towards Artemis at this point, going back to the moon, going back to Mars. Let's get back there. Let's do this stuff. Going back to Mars. Going to Mars. I've got on my thing over here, I've got Mars or Bust. Let's do this thing. Let's get to Mars. So, okay, guys, well, thanks for hanging out with me. Yeah, I know. That's actually what I'm hoping for too, David. Is I'm hoping that we'll see Mars in our lifetime. We'll see people wandering around on Mars in our lifetime. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that I'm not, in fact, dead or almost dead when we finally get to that point, because it'll be very irritating to me. So, this is an important thing in my world. Alrighty. So we've got this piece we're working on right now. I'm optimistic. 2050 is getting awfully close to me being my dad's age. And my dad made it to 80, so I could theoretically make it to 80. But I was born in 1972, so, anything close to 2072, and it gets to that kind of alarming spot. So, we'll see. Okay, guys, it's 12 o'clock local, and thanks for joining me. I appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you joining me while I was drawing. And I'll see you tomorrow. We will do this again. We will do this again. And now I have music, so I can do the music thing, and that's off. Cool. So, okay, guys. Well, have a good day, and I will see you all tomorrow.